There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna open up with a poem by Sharon Olds, and this one is called Morning Undone. I think I had almost no mourning to do when I was just born. Maybe I missed being held close in that musical night, like someone slipped into a singer's mouth for safekeeping, or missed the cello bowels, the gut of horse and cat and mother. But I almost did not know that I was missing them. My mind a field unscored, a moon unfootprinted. Causes of mourning would appear. Some of them fed as they arose, fettered and sattered, some pushed aside. Next to some people, something walks like a starveling sometimes for a lifetime. When I think of doing the work of my undone mourning, I think I see before me. In the ground, stairs appear down into the earth, and myself and my starveling descending. Okay. So tonight we are very fortunate we're having, just forgive me if I mispronounce. I'm actually going to read your name so that I try and get it as correctly as possible. So we have Tshegofatjo. I'm terrible. Tshegofatjo. Okay, you say it, and then I will repeat it.
Okay, that is Tshegofatjo.
Okay, thank you. So, welcome. We are really excited. Oh, I'm Kirsten. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm part of the Wheelbarrow team. So, thank you so much, and you can take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is well. I'm going to start with the first poem. So I just wrote it recently, the other night as I was just battling with sleep. And the poem is titled Midnight Rant. I'm twisting in bed, folding into a knot. The air is hot tonight. It bends to breathe. Midnight reeks of death in a seductive manner. I'm a fabric of skin with hidden stitches, stuffed with wounds. Velvet, I'm sexy, a cushion for boys free falling out of their skins. I have cracks. I'm leaking. I'm a sexy bear in his hidden folder. I'm another's god, 12 a.m. savior and forgotten by day. My horns only show in the mirror. I'm the devil I pray to cast. I'm the devil she wishes out of his son's life. I'm my mother's nightmare, a question mark, or the hook from which the burden of her shame hangs. He loves my man boobs and stretch marks, but interrupts my runs. Am I sexy when my problems bulge from my belly? Am I fresh or sullen? A friend thinks my lover is out of my league. The jokes become ghosts. I'm not as strong as my giggles. He says he loves me despite. Despite chokes me. Despite is the crucifix from which I hang. My mother does not know me. Her love feels like water. I need it. I cannot tell you how it tastes. I'm her piggy bank, hollow, what echoes everyone's wishes back at them as something, a Santa whose sadness rots hidden in his costume. An applaud does not pump air back into me. I am depleting. I'm waiting for the greeting to get to where they ask, how are you doing? Dying. Thank you. And the second one is titled Down Low. One, night. The body is water, taking shape of whatever landscape it rests on. You flow around to the wounds your lover has. Feel his cracks, stretch to his borders, cover the rough of his skin he finds no comfort in, become the landscape, the surface of whatever he has not healed, become the shape of his damage. 2. Morning. You are so stuffed of love. He shares his shame with you for breakfast. Your belly stores also his sins, the ones he prays away. If your sweetness gives him a toothache, people will ask, so he rinses you off his mouth in the morning. And the next one is titled Christmas Lunch. This one was published by Botsotso recently. Please check them out if you can. Christmas Lunch. You dress up your depression with the loudest laughter. Camouflage it with grace and truffle. Stuff all that you can in your mouth. Hide all that can cause a sin. Ask for more beetroot. Have your bleeding unseen when you bite your tongue. Try not to say, this year too almost took you. Your silence is table etiquette. The aunt calls you clumsy when you shiver and spill. Again, you do not say that the knife does not know how to be steady when you are not the man, how to be still when it is not your weapon. You laugh the loudest here too instead, and ask for the salad to be passed to you, so you do not stretch too much that your shirt exposes the orbits on your sleeves. You do not want to tell anyone about how your palms are a black hole, about how the gravity of your fingers crash everything they touch or hold. So when the drunk uncle tells you again this year that your life is in those hands, you count the number of times you almost died this year and say, yes, uncle, yes. Thank you. You exhibit your scars for love. Audition for it. Put your body on auction for it. Price tag every imperfect part of you. Explain, negotiate, and drop down your worth. You with so many way outs, so many exit signs for scars. Do your scars not tire from the valuation, from being mapped to pasts, from being counted, from being amounted to? Do your bones not tire from holding a body heavy with unmet requirements? Then thanks. The next one is, I also just wrote it recently, one of those days I could not sleep. So yeah. It is 3 a.m. I am desperate for love. I am lonely for you. I take care of your shadow. Prune it into a ghost I do not want to let go. Wait for your shadow to bloom. Replace a prayer with delusion. Delusion is fast. It is immediate. I will love you is milk turning sour in my mouth. Forever is honey stuck on my throat. Your promise becomes a stink or a choker, but I am unashamed and desperate. You'll find me back where you left me. At the altar, the petals have shrunk. The vows still linger as if hung from my palate. Words cannot die from suicide. I still love you. Find forgiveness at the tip of my tongue. Break me again. I will build my bones back into a castle for your commands and jump before you say, higher without your begging. Become anything at your snap. Leash me with your tongue. Make me your dog. I'll make you my God. Feed me the bones of our finished love. I will lick your empty hands and pretend to be full. I will worship you. Make God second to you. Tell me what you do not like about me. I will unroll my skin flat onto the floor. Walk all over me. Ask no forgiveness. I will listen, submit, mince my tongue into silence. Feed it to your ego raw. Rely on you for taste, for everything. You know everything. I was wrong. You are right. You are right. I am crazy. I am crazy for you. And the next poem is untitled. I usually do not title these. And this one is going to be published soon by Commonwealth. Ada, please check out their pages and Instagram and Facebook. It's going to be published as a video poem this month. I think mid-month, yeah. The mirror spits you out as a skeleton. It has stored all the memories of you, scrubbing the stain of sin, lovers left on your skin, refusing to diffuse. In all the apologies you whispered to God, the splinters you counted off your skin as love-me-nots, the peeling, the trying to crawl out of your own skin. The mirror does not know how not to mist from the weight of shame beneath your breath. When you cannot look yourself in the mirror, where do you go? You have tried everything to hide the paper cuts your pocket Bible made on your wrists, growing into scabs, handcuffing you from raising your hands in worship. So you do not raise your hands to shield yourself from scriptures the priest convert into bullets. You collect gunshot wounds at sermons, sing the loudest to divert the gaze while witnessing God erupting out of Leviticus as lava. You bend your fingertips, searching for your own interpretation, where the gospel is not a sword you have to hold tight by the sharpest end even when you bleed. Where do you run to? Your father's condemnation is a hammer hitting your pelvic bones into alignment. Your hips are blasphemous in how they sway in his house, as if they gather all the unwanted spirits and dust into a windmill, as if your mother swallows all the dust from the war her religion makes with the love she has for you. There's a congestion of prayers on your mother's throat. She struggles to swallow even her pills now. She's always bleeding from rupturing your ribs with her bare hands, trying to make Eve out of them, while your father recreates you in the image of his own expectations and dreams. Where do you run to, weary and burdened? The streets have every corner as a vacant grave. Everyone's teeth are clenched into coffins waiting to bury you. They make sandpaper out of scriptures to sharpen their teeth for your slaughter. They cast stones on people like you. So where do you go for home? Thank you. And the next one, this one is like one of my oldest poems that I have. It's titled Depression. Depression is a knife. I hide its blade in my clench and walk around assuring everyone that I'm not in danger while bleeding. I am a burning temple with no escape doors. My bones are a podium, collapsing, unable to carry my father's condemnation anymore. My eyes are dying candles. I'm a mumbling prayer, a torn scripture, unfixable. I am a dying hymn sustained by my mother's humming. Her prayers leak through my body. My depression is a bookmark for a scripture that will never be opened, a sacrifice bent to light up my father's reputation. At church, I undress my depression at the doormat and never address it. At supper, I tame it under my tongue so I can burp without anyone smelling the spirits of all the dead I carry in me, not my tongue to leash it. So the worse my body is lent to, do not make dust when I speak. The smile is the currency at the table I trade for their silence. I hate questions, so I bury it to grow into comfort for everyone but myself. It is a gravestone I erect in my back, use my smile as laces and bouquets. It is heavy, this thing, that I try to drown in my belly at the dance club. But what does not drown it baptizes it. It floats out of that beer, singing Hosanna along to my favorite song, its voice staring me into a tornado. I am a disappearing windmill on the dance floor. And when the beer settles in my belly, my depression swims its way through to my shores. When I breathe, I'm a tsunami I make everyone believe is just a breeze. I am a messy ocean, a gravesite for things I make their tombstones out of empty bottles. For suicide watch, the bottle shadows me to sleep, because every night my bedroom is a jail cell. I draw escape plans on my arrests, make an emergency exit out of this misery with sleep, but my mother's amens wake me up as receipts for all my dreams rotting to fed. Mother, the answer to your prayers chops himself every midnight to rearrange his parts into a language you can understand. Father, it takes so much Jesus to get onto my bed that it feels like a climb on Calvary. I'm uncertain of daily resurrection. My ill is both the cross and the Judas. My body knows crucifixion as daily routine. I'm the daily bread here. Always, always. And the next one, it is untitled. When the beer slithers out of your father's hands, it floods your home. It soaks the walls and collapses everything. What kind of flower grows out of caved walls of a dying home, if not a boy learning to make rain out of bottles he watched his father shower in? A boy watering himself while shedding his growing petals, afraid of the bottle reflecting him as his father. If you watched your mother cut thorns off her stem so your father can hold her, and then watched him mishandle her instead, force her to grow the thorns back in defense, irrigate her with the poison of remorse made of his hangover and recycled regrets, what kind of flower would you be? How many bottles will it take to water you to grow into nothing like him? Especially that you are an heir to a drought on his oesophagus, using the bottle so your dry throat does not start a fire with the friction of your unanswered prayers, making fire extinguishers out of bottles and healing your wounds with the foam. When you ask your father about the poison brewing in his mouth, he'll tell you he comes from generations that pass down dreams deferred for too long that they have turned sour. That society presses its nostrils when he opens his mouth to weep. He carries everyone's dreams with his in a sack of failure. Have the rot of his children's dreams infect his own. Have the weight of everyone's dreams bend his spinal cord. He crawls with bottles in his hands. He counts the cards as tries. His dignity leaks through his palms. And you have learned from your father to walk around with clenched fists, hiding scars. Like Jesus, He's always been persevering, slow crucifixion of hard labor under a burning sun, sweating from the cross made of a rusting ladder at the construction site to save your stomach, trusting the harness to do the work of God, but still afraid. If the gravity of his exhaustion pulls him down the ladder, he will fall and never return to save his children. There are no black men rising out of graves for second chances. There are no return flights for men with broken wings. Your father has contemplated flying out of this life, but he has been drowning in all the beer he trusted to keep him afloat. And you, boy, what kind of flower are you, trying to keep your roots damp with these bottles? Is this how you lubricate your throat so you do not take anyone's expectations dry? Is this how you do not become a stats to another black boy, choking from biting too many expectations from everyone than he can chew? Thank you. I think this one is the last one from the poems that I have. Yeah, it is the last one. It is called The Village. It takes a village to bury women under shadows of their husband's humiliation, to make the soil fertile from woman's rod, and from the same ground to grow girls to be flowers, but twist their necks to the sun, and teach boys their egos are the sun, that everything revolves around them. The village turns my mother's womb inside out, searching for justification to my father's sins. She too twists her neck into a spring, searching for survival. She carries the head of house with her elastic neck, stretches to whatever direction it bounces to and back, heavy or not. She carries the fire the head starts in its mouth, melts herself, extinguishing it before it can burn the whole body. Our home has always been a furnace. And mother wipes blood from the walls early in the morning, with a hymn forcing its way out of her nostrils. A storm wakes us all up when she sighs. We close the curtains to incubate our father's cigarettes. The cigarettes hatch another storm. We help each other hold the table down from shaking. Grace pretends at breakfast. Fill our bellies with the sourness of love, fermenting, refusing to die without dragging our mother along. We are bloated. We carry this hate for a man who buries our mother under the shadow of his own infidelity, because the village will rupture my mother's womb, searching for his justification. Thank you. That is all I have.
Thank you. You guys can unmute yourselves if you want to clap. I'm a clapper. I don't do oh, mainly because I can't click, but thank you so much. Wow, that was, I think it's when somebody can put the experiences into words that create this whole new world and kind of uses the body as an instrument and a tool to get the story across and the lived experience across. It's amazing, and it's not always easy to do. So I mean, we're gonna go into the Q&A now, but I wanted to start us off by just making a comment about the way I mean, in a few of the poems you mention, you make use of water and the image of it and the motion of that. And I just thought it was so powerful how you use that to also describe, the movement of the human body and how it moves in and out of experiences. So it was really powerful. And thank you for sharing. And I mean, the way you write about love, oh my word. I was sitting there like, yo, I was like, this is so relatable. What the heck? But it was just, it was amazing. It was just so
Thank
amazing.
you.
And I think it's, you write really honestly about love, and that's so important. And that's what makes love poems still interesting, you know? So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So we're going to go into the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask the question.
I hope they're not difficult to answer.
John, I see you are unmuted. You guys can just go ahead, hey, if you have a question.
Well, I wasn't quite sure if I have a question, but can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where do you come from, Tshegofatjo? Did I say it right?
Yes, you've tried.
Tshegofatjo. Tshegofatjo.
Yes.
Tshegofatjo.
Yes.
Tshego.
Yes. Where do you come from?
I come from Limpopo, Zebediela, a place called Zebediela in Limpopo, just next to Mukopani.
Ah,
I don't know my way around very well, but I'm very curious about South Africa. Are you, what languages do you speak? Do you speak, I assume you speak others than just English.
Yes, I speak Spedi. My home language is Spedi. Nothing Sotho, yeah.
Nice. Do you write in that language also?
I do not write in that language, but from last year I've been trying to go there, and I'm trying to just read people who write in that language and watch things that are like in that language to really get myself into writing in my own language. I'd love to, so yeah, I'm still in the process of just learning how to.
Well, I think your poetry is wonderful and very deep. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hi,
sorry, can I ask? Sorry.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah. You say when you don't sleep. I find also when I don't sleep at night, that's a good time for having poems, forming poems. Maybe you don't write them immediately, but beginning to think about and to think about a poem and start it. So sometimes it's quite a good idea not to sleep at night.
Yeah.
You find the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, I find I always form most of my poems at night when I can't find sleep. So yes, I agree with that.
So it's a gift to poets, isn't it?
Yes.
Or is it? Or shall we say poetry is a gift to insomniacs, or is insomnia a gift to poets?
Yes. I think it can be both. It can be as a gift because they're struggling to sleep, but at least they have that gift.
Yes.
Of poetry. So yes.
Ed?
Hey, Kirsten.
Hey.
Right. Tshegofatjo, it's great to hear your voice.
Thanks.
And to hear your poem.
Thank you.
Hey, I was also particularly struck by the love poems. And the vulnerability and the desire and a lot of stuff going on in those. And also the final poem is just I read it as a critique, like a very incisive critique of certain values, patriarchal values, assumptions about gender. Before I get tangled up in my own sort of meanderings here, which I probably will anyway, I was just struck by the line, I'm not sure which poem it was from, but it was, there are no return flights for men with broken wings.
Yes.
I thought that was it's a great line. I would say that the poems suggest otherwise, that there are definitely return flights. Yeah, forward to
That
hearing
is
more.
it. Sorry, you can continue.
Nkateko, I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Tshegofatjo.
Hi, Nkateko.
I am such a fan of your work. I've seen you perform live twice, at Word and Sound in Joburg and at the US Embassy Slam in Pretoria. And sorry, I am starstruck at the moment. I really love your work. Something I've noticed about your work, okay, with the exception of the US Embassy Slam, because there was a prompt there, or there was a commission or whatever, but you
Yes.
talk about the boy a lot, and I know that confessional poetry is not always autobiographical, or even semi-autobiographical, but I want to know, who is the boy in the poem? I know that you use the I a lot, and a lot of confessional poets do say that the I is not always me. So I want to know, do you consider yourself a confessional poet, firstly? And secondly, who is the boy in the who are the persona in your work?
Okay. Firstly, yeah, I think I do consider myself as a confessional poet. And sometimes most of the time, the boy is me and other boys. And sometimes it's just me, but all the times I'm always part of that boy. Sometimes I have an experience that I experience something, and I know someone who's close to me who have experienced that. So I just match me and the person next to me into that boy that I write about. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your answer.
You're welcome.
We have such good manners in this room tonight. People are like, thank you, you're welcome. You're welcome. I love it. Ed?
Yeah, I was wondering about another thing that struck me was the way you grapple with religion and shame and family. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to say more about that, or just leave the poems to sort of do the talking, and your influences, the writers who've influenced you. Are there any particular writers that you can think of right now that speak to what you're doing, to your work?
With a lot of like religion parts. So I grew up in a religion background, and I feel like as I grew up, I just stopped believing in what I was taught and just wanted to find out what I can believe in on my own, without my parents, without everyone. But I seem to not, I'm not able to just write without it, because I feel like it's been part of my life for too long, and it has its goods, and there's also like bad things that it has done to me. So yeah. And the other question, I think, for poets that on top of my mind, I can just think of Koleka Putuma. So I am a fan of her work so much. So I draw a lot of inspiration from her work.
Thank you.
I actually wanna jump on Ed's question there. I mean you mentioned that, because you grew up in a religious family and these things were taught you, that it kind of comes out in your work without you trying to, and it just kind of always puts itself there. And I wanted to know, does it, when you're writing about a certain moment or experience, how does your background and your lived experience of growing up surrounded by religion, how does it affect how you re-experience those moments when you were writing about them?
I'm not sure if I get the question.
Okay, yeah, I tend to be really confusing. So sometimes I don't even know what I'm
It's
saying.
okay.
But what I'm trying to say is, because you mentioned that you grew up with a religious background in a religious household, when you are writing about your lived experiences or moments that you've had, do you think that your background of growing up in a religious household, does it affect how you kind of relive these moments when you were writing about them? Does it make the experience different in any way of those moments?
Yeah, I think it does, because every time I write, I feel like I also live in those moments again. So in those moments, like I in moments that I did not like to be in. So I feel like I just feel it again. It just feels like being re-traumatized again, but there's nothing I could do. And I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
write. Yes. But I
Amazing.
mean,
Thank
there's also some happy things that I have about the religion, which are also, whenever I write about those happy things, then I also get the joy again. So yeah,
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
thanks.
Margaret, do you have a question?
I was just thinking about your parents, that you seem to be very close to your mother, and you and not at all with your father. Your father's you're always saying his father is disappointed in you. Doesn't You're not what your father wanted. Is that how you feel?
So with the father part,
Yes.
so I've not had a close relationship with the father. So the
Yes.
father part, I get it from my cousin and my other
Oh.
friends. So I write mostly about my cousin and my other friends' experience of their father.
Oh, so your
Yes.
father wasn't in the picture, really, your own father.
Yes. Yes, but the father that I usually use, I get it from my friends and
Oh,
my
I
cousins.
see.
But the
Yes.
mother, I fuse that with my mother's experiences are the real one in the
The
poems.
real one. Yes, you can feel a very close relationship with your mother, although it may not always be an easy one.
Yes. Yeah, that is true.
Are there any other questions? Thank you for sharing that, by the way. I mean, for talking about your,
Yeah,
your family and being open to answering that question.
Thank you so
thank you
much for the space and for the questions.
Of course. Is there anyone else? Any last questions, comments, any love you want to send? Okay.
Okay, we really enjoyed that. It was really good.
Thank you so much.
It was amazing. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a 10-minute break. It's now 10 minutes past 8, so we'll come back at 20 past 8 for the open mic, so you guys can bring your poems and share. Okay, thanks, guys. See you in a bit.